When a new season hits The Division 2, it's like Christmas morning for players. New missions, gear, exotics, challenges, and a fresh content calendar. But to truly savor it, you gotta be ready. The pros know this, and many complete the entire 100 level rewards track in just a few hours. They're running around with all the new gear on day one. Ever wonder how they do it? Let's find out.
And if you don't know, now you know. I'm blowing up like you thought I would. Call the clip, same number, same hood. It's all good. It was all a dream.
Watch this.
It was all a dream. And if you don't know, now you know.
Every 4 months, a new season drops in The Division 2, gifting players a 100 level rewards track packed with the latest gear, exotics, and caches. Seasons are free to partake after completing the Warlords of New York expansion, and each introduces a fresh manhunt mission and a calendar of events, including 5 manhunt targets strategically placed between global events, leagues, and apparel events. With so much to do, where do you start? For seasoned pros, the question isn't where to start, but when. They stock essential resources, optimize their stash for space, plan efficient XP farming routes, and have the ultimate XP farming build on the ready. With well-defined priorities and a strategic approach, they secure everything they need to conquer the latest missions with the freshest builds quickly. The secret?
Let me guess, a big watch.
Well, it's actually not.
Woohoo!
Well, it's not about special skills, oversized watches, or high expertise. It's all in the strategy, a formula built on years of experience. And that means it can be learned by anyone, and you can do it too. At the start of a new season, pros zero in on the rewards track, the direct path to acquiring all the latest gear. However, they know that the new gear, including gear sets, brand sets, and weapon variants, will also join the targeted loot system on launch day. In addition to the gear, the rewards track usually introduces at least 2 new exotics, which must be unlocked along with their blueprints before they enter the general loot pool for widespread farming. To progress through the levels of the rewards track, they focus on leveling up their character, and that boils down to one thing:
Exploits.
if you want to get banned. If you don't, it's about legitimately earning XP. The more XP accumulated, the quicker they ascend the track. But why the rush? After all, there's 4 months to complete it. Well, it's all about the anticipation. While new missions and game modes are standard expectations for fresh content, The Division 2 throws in a twist.
Bugs.
New gear. You see, dedicated players of The Division 2 have come to recognize that it's the intricate build system that injects longevity and excitement into the game. Running a different build on a familiar mission transforms that experience, offering a novel twist to well-worn content.
I'd prefer a survival mode like that underground thing from The Division.
I hear ya, but players often find themselves enjoying the new build more than the mission itself. So, the race to acquire all the latest gear is essentially a race to unlock the genuine new content. And it becomes even more thrilling when you tackle season events armed with the cutting-edge latest gear. If you're wondering how long it takes to conquer level 100 on the rewards track, well, the swift achievers with a clear goal can wrap it up in about 1 to 3 days.
It takes me just over an hour.
Well, we're not all you. Can it continue?
Be my guest.
However, for those who've prepared, hopefully that's you after tuning into this video, it's entirely feasible to accomplish it in a single gaming session, clocking in at an average of 3 to 6 hours of total gameplay. But does blitzing through the rewards track take away from the season experience? It's a valid question, but I'd argue it doesn't. There's nothing to savor about the rewards track. It's essentially a stash in the sky, so pulling those items into your inventory is giving the player the choice of when they can use that item. The pros always keep an eye on XP rewards per activity and knows from experience farming XP goes beyond the obvious. These are the top XP farming activities: public executions on challenging difficulty with 4 directives, a mixed activity farm route on heroic difficulty with 4 to 5 directives, heroic control points with all 5 directives.
I like public executions for all the running around looking for the next activity. It's good exercise.
And when the pros are hunting XP, they know to avoid long missions like legendaries that don't provide efficient XP per hour. That also includes raids, incursions, and the countdown game mode. The devs recently decided to even the playing field, making sure all activities give the players pretty much the same XP per hour. They want us to have an equal shot at leveling no matter what we do, which is cool. Public executions on challenging is a great choice of activity for new players. Why? Well, they're a mix of enemy types, not just elites like you find in heroic control points. So if you don't have a super efficient XP farming build yet, you can still complete this activity quickly. I've done real-world testing across many seasons, and here's the scoop. Whether it's public executions, mixed activity routes, or heroic control points, it's all roughly the same XP per hour. But here's the real twist. The best XP isn't about the activity, it's the build. The pros use particular builds that turn running all 5 directives on heroic control points into child's play. And the pros know it's not just about the XP. For seasons, it's about priorities. Heroic control points give you more resources, extra gear, a loot cave with even more resources and gear, and a 10% shot at an exotic component. Each of those contributes to all key priorities for dominating the season. And you get to tackle 2 named bosses for some named item drops. Sweet, right? Plus, there's more fighting than traveling. That matters because heroic control points dish out more bonus XP accolades like survivor bonuses, headshot kill bonuses, weak point, and multi-kill bonuses. The pros know that the more enemies you take on, the larger those bonuses are. And after the session, this all adds up to a lot. You can also donate resources to the captains. This boosts their XP gains even further. And to supercharge the bonus XP, other activities often hop into the fight for loads of extra XP without having to travel anywhere. Oh, and those Child's Play XP farm builds I mentioned? Stay tuned, I got your back on the deets. The pros have the best in-class XP farm loops, tried and true over many seasons. They're designed to minimize travel between activities. They also know that when it comes to XP farming with directives, the choice of zone does matter. If special ammo is activated, each faction has its own painful status effect. True Sons brings the bleed, which of course hurts, but it's way better than turning into a walking inferno from a single bullet by the outcasts. This has to be considered. Now, let's break it down. I start at this safe house, make a quick jog over to this control point, dominate it. Make another jog over to this control point, complete that. Fast travel to Capitol building, walk on over to the crash site, dominate that. I fast travel here, and then walk over to No Hope and destroy that. Next, the castle settlement, and I take down the choke. I fast travel over to Tidal, take down Flooded Levee, and make a final jog over to the monument, destroy that. Then I reset my control points while I'm fast traveling back to the safe house. And then I repeat the loop, but this time I skip over Solar Farm to eliminate the extra jog. That means I go straight to Capitol building after I defeat the sinkhole. I like this one for a mix of activities. Travel to the Tidal Basin to begin the journey and go around the monument as many times as you can. If you keep a control point open, it will continue to spawn new activities in the area, which are all super close together. All right, let's dive into the next top priority after XP farming, getting all the variations of the shiny new gear for the season. Here's the lowdown on priority 2. Every season usually drops a bunch of cool stuff, including a fresh gear set, a new brand set, 2 new named brand items with perfect talents, 2 new named weapons with perfect talents, and sometimes a new weapon variant, 2 to 3 new exotics, and finally, related blueprints for your crafting bench.
Let us not forget the Sacrum Imperium.
Well, what do you mean?
Just saying.
Now, the rewards track will shower you with many pieces to kickstart your gear collection, but to really build those killer setups, the pros know they need more than what the track provides. This is how they load up their stash. They farm anywhere in the open world where targeted loot is set to the new gear or the weapon class hosting the new weapon variants. They choose zones over missions. They buy the season pass for more season caches that host that same new gear. If a global event is active, they use Red Star currency to purchase name caches for those new named items. They use Countdown currency to purchase season caches from the Countdown vendor. And finally, they farm Countdown's custom targeted loot system. Of all those options, Countdown stands out as the best farm in the game. You can set your targeted loot to whatever you want, including new gear sets and brands. It takes about 20 minutes to complete, dropping
15.
tons of gear along the way. What's that?
You said 20 minutes.
What's wrong with that?
You're wrong. It's a 15-minute game mode.
Well, they give you 15 minutes to complete the main activities. You get a new clock for extraction.
I do it in 15 minutes.
Moving on. The end fight is a treasure trove with loads of named items. If you're random matchmaking, choose challenging. It's easier to finish if you're down a few players, and the quality is about the same as a heroic when it comes to loot. Pros know these are the only 3 things you need to succeed in Countdown. Stick with the pack, use a Countdown certified build. Don't worry, I've got your back on that.
And.
Don't say it.
Smoke a fatty.
And make sure your inventory has plenty of space. Trust me, you're gonna be loaded with gear, and in an hour, 100 items is totally doable. Pros usually have more than one Ultimate XP farm build designed to effortlessly tear through the season pass. I recommend at least 2 builds, and you don't want to waste time trying to make these builds after the season passes, if you can prevent that. Try to go into the season with these perfected. If there is a time to invest in your expertise, the pros know this is it. To make it perfect, the pros meticulously craft the entire loadout to transcend mere power. They tailor it to handle.
There's no such thing as too much damage.
Seriously?
Yeah. The best defense is a good offense.
Couldn't we just as easily say the best offense is a good defense?
Yeah, but if they're dead, they're not shooting you.
That old argument? You do realize that if you're dead, you're also not able to shoot back.
That doesn't make any sense.
Oh geez, I'm not getting into this with you right now. What was I saying?
They tailor their build to do more than just damage.
That's right. Any combination of directives the game throws your way by ensuring the build doesn't rely heavily on skills or require lots of ammunition. Here's my favorite for solo farming, specifically optimized for heroic control points with 5 directives. This build revolves around the potent 1886 rifle, with the ability to one-shot chain kill elites like snipers do, but it maintains high mobility and boasts maximum armor, protection from elites, 20% armor on kill, 60% bonus armor on kill, and a crowd control effect thanks to Hunter's Fury. I've been using this for many seasons, and I can tell you, heroic control points with 5 directives, child's play. Pros also have a second build ready for running with a group. The difference is on this build is that you need to adjust for enemy health pool scaling and shared killing. I like using this hotshot build because it meets the requirements of not relying heavily on skills and requires very little ammo, and it will make you feel like a notorious sniper king, even if you're not a crack shot. This is the recommended build for your Countdown farming sessions. Don't fret too much about the details if you lack certain exotics. You can easily make adjustments based on what's available in your stash. I mostly appreciate the shock effects of the exotics to neutralize the hunters in Countdown. Any close variation featuring Heartbreaker will suffice. For a more detailed breakdown of each component of these builds, check out my dedicated video linked in the description. Head over there for a comprehensive walkthrough of each build.
Meh, my build is better.
Those who get everything they want on day one already know they need ample space in their inventory for a seamless transition into a new season. And I'm talking about 100 to 150 available slots. For those new to the game, look to creating a second character at the earliest opportunity after you reach level 40. This is how the pros do it. First, they book a flight to New York, call their friends, destroy anything that moves, steal this guy's watch, get back to DC, meet up with this crazy lady, buy these blueprints, and boom. This can take 1.5 to 6 hours depending on if you do it with friends or solo. They eventually use all 3 additional character slots as dedicated spaces for loot, materials, and gear storage. That's because they know the scarcity of inventory space is real and a constant challenge, making these characters essential mules for safeguarding more valuable resources and exotic items. That means all 4 characters contribute to their success on day one, especially when it comes to optimizing the builds, for the new gear. Even if your watch hasn't accumulated many SHD points, having these mules will provide you with more access to all the essentials. The pros strategically organize their gear across all their mules. This not only facilitates efficient inventory management, but also simplifies the process of identifying and handling duplicate items. In my setup, one character exclusively houses gear sets. Another focuses on masks, gloves, knee pads, and holsters, excluding exotics, while the third is dedicated to exotics, chests, backpacks, and weapons. For quick and easy access, I reserve the newest and most frequent used gear on my main character and in my stash. What do you delete? What do you keep? Well, there's no real right answer to this. It always turns out you need an item right after you just deleted it. At least that's my luck. About what?
How this is even an issue.
It's a real struggle. Thousands of players say they would actually pay real money for more stash space. It sucks to have to delete great gear.
But why are all these people's stash full if there is only one build you need in the game?
Who told you that?
This guy on the internet. His build is so strong, he said it was the last build you will ever need. He said you are an idiot if you use anything else. I believe him because numbers don't lie.
Well, that's one way to look at things. But if you can look beyond, you might discover there's a lot more to builds than just damage.
Doubt it. All the builds have been done. This game is dead.
Continuing on. So this is something every player really has to think through. The pros do this at least once at the end of every season, ensuring they have 100 to 150 available slots in their inventory and stash for new items. They keep gear and weapons that are relevant to their current builds or potential future builds. If an item doesn't contribute to their playstyle or planned builds, they let it go. They prioritize items with attributes and talents that synergize well. They look for combinations that enhance their preferable playstyle. If they run and gun, things like Obliterate, Intimidate, and Bloodsucker are great options. Items with mismatched attributes or talents that don't complement their build are removed. They focus on keeping high quality gear and weapons. Items with the highest rarity only. If they have two variations in the same class, they keep only the best performing one. Exotics and named items often have unique attributes or talents. They prioritize these items as they can be essential for certain builds, but they don't keep anything that doesn't fit their playstyle. They pay attention to the upcoming season's gear and updates. They delete items that will be less attractive with those upcoming changes or seasons as nerfs, buffs, and stronger weapons are introduced. This ensures that they're collecting gear relevant to the ongoing content and flow of the updates. Streamlining their gear setups is essential for optimizing their inventory, especially when dealing with super niche builds. If they possess rare and unique pieces that contribute to a build rarely utilized, they evaluate whether it's time to retire it and open up space for a more practical setup. The pros also consider consolidating builds with similar concepts. Take SMGs, for instance. You could use 3 pieces of Sokolov with Grupo and Cheska, or simply go for 4 pieces of Hunter's Fury with Grupo and Cheska. The pros evaluate which setup is preferable and efficient, then eliminate the redundant pieces. This is what we know. The difference in damage output between two similar build concepts is typically marginal. Although one might put out higher DPS on paper, it doesn't mean it's the best build, and an experienced player knows the user's skill will water down the difference in damage between these builds. After all, it's not the car, it's the driver. That means the value of the inventory space those extra pieces occupy outweighs your least favorite of the two builds. For instance, I phased out Sokolov from my rotation a while back, not because it's ineffective, but because 4 pieces of Hunter's Fury with Grupo or Cheska meets my needs across various situations. Right before a fresh season kicks in, the pros know it's the sweet spot to stock up on resources. If you need to get up to speed on the nitty-gritty of resource management in the Division 2, I've got the Holy Grail guide linked down below. But for today, let's cut to the chase and focus on what the pros already know and what you need to know for new seasons. Now, why do they bother with resources? When it comes to perfecting their build, instead of grinding endlessly for that dream gear piece, they take something close enough and then tweak it to perfection using the crafting, recalibration, optimization, and expertise systems. It's the smart move for efficiently reaching their end game build with all the new season gear goodness. Alright, here's the lowdown on why they stack up on resources. They increase their activities in these systems, especially up front when the fresh batch of new gear starts rolling in. Think of these systems as your own personal gear workshop, letting you tweak and perfect your loadout. It's all about making your gear work just right for your playstyle, and the pros use these benches to make the whole game experience smoother and more enjoyable without those annoying gear roadblocks. They get to skip the long hours trying to find the right combination of stats and talents, snagging the perfect gear piece, or maximizing the potential of their equipment. Trust me, if they relied on old school farming to craft that dream build, they would be taking a long while.
RNG is a liberal hoax.
Hey, don't shoot the messenger. It's just the way the big guy rolls.
That guy hates
Here's
me.
the deal. The crafting, recalibration, optimization, and expertise systems rescue them from those pesky gear roadblocks. But there's a cost to this rescue. They can either donate blood into the 4 vampires, or they can embark on a marathon of days, months, and maybe even years hoping RNGesus answers their prayers.
I lost my best friend that way.
And so it comes down to stockpiling these big 3 resources that will be in demand when a new season kicks in. Materials are common but critical because they're the backbone of all these systems. They're also thrown into the pot when buying alloys and tactical assessments to fine-tune gear through optimization. And then there's the HD recals. They are rare gems in the resource world, but also essential for the optimization and expertise system. The fastest route to snag these is with watch points. Now let's talk about exotic components. These are the gems that change up the exotic gear at the crafting bench and fuel the gear's ascent through the expertise system. Brace yourself, the next season is cranking up the demand. The devs toned down the exotic costs in the expertise bench to 49 exotics to take something up to a full 25 levels. Good news, but here's the kicker. With the new ability to tweak the 3rd attribute on all exotic weapons, you're gonna need a warehouse full of these bad boys.
Never
Daily
trust
and
the
weekly
devs.
projects, descent, global events, and countdown exotic farming are all the methods the pros rely on to meet their needs. Pros, don't overlook the season pass either. Those extra resource caches it showers you with, they're a game changer. While they might not completely erase those resource gaps, they're definitely a lifeline, making the journey a tad smoother and the bumps less painful early on in the season. The option to grab the season pass costs approximately $9. This pass unlocks the lower half of the rewards track, providing exclusive apparel events, weapon skins, and numerous additional caches. Beyond the main rewards, the pass offers extra perks such as bonus keys for apparel events.
Apparel, really, Tux? Nobody likes that crap.
To snag the season pass, head to the store from your menu and navigate to the add-ons tab. You can purchase the season pass at any point during the active calendar of events, and if you decide to buy it later, it will retroactively grant you all the earned rewards.
You getting a commission for that?
No, this video isn't sponsored. I'm just providing information.
Sucker.
The pros go into a new season already thinking about their new build concepts and upgrades to existing builds using the newest stuff. It's simple. They review the patch notes of what's coming down the line and make a list. I made one for you to get started. Tux's Punch List, your essential guide to the must-have gear to be ready for Season 3, Title Update 20, arriving alongside Project Resolve on February 6, 2024. Every season is going to create a demand on certain gear simply due to the expected synergies with new gear sets, brands, talents, and exotics. But this season is bringing the heat with even more demands thanks to Project Resolve. This isn't intended to be an exhaustive list. These are my picks on what I think are worth your attention. Quick heads up, these recommendations are based on the Phase 2 PTS patch notes from January 18th, 2024. Keep in mind that some details might still be subject to change. However, I don't foresee significant risks to these recommendations. Final patch notes typically drop on the day this season goes live. You're going to want the F2000 or its named Shield Splinterer. That's getting 50 more RPM. The RPK LMG and its named New Reliable version getting 20% more damage. The M700 Carbon, 17% more damage. The SRS Marksman, 30% more damage. The Scalpel and the Mechanical Animal that are both going to get you 4 skill tiers. That's a game changer. Emmeline's Guard is boosted to 30% armor on kill. 4 pieces of bulwark, including the chest and backpack, for more regen per second. Perfect Intimidate and Intimidate are now getting 3 stacks per second. Obliterate will hold its damage duration to 10 seconds. 3 pieces of Brazos for 50% mag size. 3 pieces of Gila for 2% regen. 2 pieces of Golan for 1.5% regen. Habsburg is getting a buff to MMR damage. 2 pieces of Grupo to its explosive damage. 2 pieces of Petrov 15% handling. Overlord, 30% handling. For exotics, the capacitor exotic is getting more damage and you're going to be able to roll damage to targets out of cover on it. The ninja bike exotic has an expanded use case. The eagle bearer is getting 50 more RPM and you can now put damage to targets out of cover.
Of course, you recommended the eagle bearer. Don't be a sheep.
The bighorn, more damage and DTOC. The mantis, 15% more damage. The nemesis, you can add damage to targets out of cover, as well as the backfire, the chameleon, the scorpio, the regulus, and chatterbox. Banditos, what do you think is the most important thing to do to get ready for a new season? Let's see your thoughts below.
I got a tip. Forget everything you think you know. The only thing that matters is DPS.
Thank you for hanging out with me today. My name is TuxedoBandido. That's Tito Bandido.
What's crack-a-lackin'?
This was another episode of The Division 2. If you found this video helpful, subscribe, like, and turn on notifications to ensure you don't miss out on the fantastic experiences waiting for you in The Division 2. And if you like builds like this, check out the recommended build video I have here for you. If you have anything you want to see covered, be sure to let me know in the comments below. And thank you to all the channel members and donors who make everything possible. Tux Nation wouldn't be without you.
Follow me.
I get it.